So Tia's team and Tia have put so much effort into putting this pitch competition together. And I think it's over 60 entrepreneurs that she's supported over the past year as a really small team, group of volunteers. So it's a huge high five and kudos to the Black Women in Excellence team and Tia for really making all of this happen. Hi, my name's Sally. I'm originally from Malaysia, but my family immigrated to Fredericton, New Brunswick at quite a young age. I've spent over the past decade running programs and starting entrepreneurship centers to support entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited to be here celebrating everything that Black Women in Excellence has done. So I've got this really mixed zigzag road when it comes to my career over the last past decade, where I've jumped from working with tech startups to traveling worldwide with Techstar Startup Weekend from Shanghai to LA to Trinidad to San Francisco, to actually building entrepreneurship centers like Planet Hatch in Fredericton, to Startup Zone in PI, and working with a number of venture capital and angel groups. In the past couple years, I've been lucky enough to work with a number of Indigenous communities as well in New Brunswick with helping them establish their businesses. And so I'm super passionate about supporting entrepreneurs, especially underrepresented folks that typically don't get the attention or get to bring their true selves and lived experiences into the businesses that they're building. Most recently, I was working with Tribe Network. And on top of all of that, the last 6 to 7 years, I've been running my own business, which is called The Triple Effect, with a couple different key pieces relating to entrepreneurial community development, to program development, to corporate innovation, and technology coaching. When it comes to working with Black entrepreneurs, it's been an amazing journey. As you can imagine, growing up in Fredericton, it's not exactly the most diverse community. And so it wasn't until I moved to Nova Scotia in March of 2020 that I really started to know the differences and what some of the true challenges were happening across not only Nova Scotia, but across the country through some of the philanthropic board work that I was doing. Most recently, we were actually running this entrepreneurial retreat, and we got to meet some amazing individuals that were sharing their experiences of coming in as an immigrant and really getting those connections and building those relationships to take their business to the next level. It's been incredible, but I also want to acknowledge the hardships that a lot of them have encountered. If it comes to racism, if it's coming up with some of the, I'll say, trauma that they've been encountering. For me, when it comes to working with Black entrepreneurs, it's a tricky balance between recognizing some of that past experiences that they've had, but how do you move on from there? Last week, I had an incident where I was working with a Black entrepreneur, and I'd said to her, hey, I'd love for you to go to this event because I think that you'll really benefit from hearing from the stories of these individuals. Then the entrepreneur said to me, and they said, Sally, thank you for inviting me to this and letting me know, but I looked at all the speakers and they're all white. I just don't think that event is worth me going. And I said to her, I was like, no, I totally respect that. No problem. Do your thing. At the event, I realized, yes, the speakers were all white. There was one female. What kind of hit me was, it's too bad that that female entrepreneur didn't feel comfortable and didn't quite have the courage to step into that space. Because even though all the speakers were white, I think she would have learned a lot from those entrepreneurs and speakers that were there. And so I think right now we're in this really interesting and difficult place in the world where we want to be represented, but we also want to learn from people's past mistakes. The tricky part is that because there aren't many Black, Indigenous, people of color entrepreneurs out there, we haven't necessarily gotten to see as many of them on stage just yet. And so we're in this balancing act right now of how do we show up in these events, show up in these places to make sure that we're represented, but also heard, but also learning from the lessons of all entrepreneurs, no matter what their backgrounds are. So my tip when it comes to sort of that situation and reflection is that don't be afraid to take up space. Jump into that. Yes, it can be uncomfortable, and I 1000% have been there. But if you don't take up that space, someone else will. Over the years, I've taken part in, I'd say, hundreds of pitch competitions. So they're definitely not necessarily like that unique per se, but there aren't that many of them specifically for Black women. And so Black women in particular, and a lot of other groups, need that special attention in the regards to really having their businesses highlighted and the support that they need. Because oftentimes you get lost in the shuffle of everything else that's happening. And so I think the pitch competition is amazing because it's a unique opportunity to really support women founders, but more importantly, women that are part of the Black community. And when I think of all the pitch competitions that exist, it's, you get to set them on stage, you get to celebrate them, you get to meet other mentors, potential advisors, potential investors, sponsors, all of that. And I think that with Tia and the competition happening, it's that she gets to have that platform that really gets to elevate everyone's stories and help them get propelled from there.